Okay, so what we're talking about here is a different kind of spirituality, perhaps, than what has been common in the past several decades. And a new term has emerged called psychospirituality, which we like that term a lot because for us, that's really what the journey is. It is understanding your consciousness and working with your consciousness as an integral part of your spiritual awakening. It cannot be left out, it cannot be sidestepped. Can you talk more about that, Chokai?
Indeed. Yeah. Well, most certainly cannot be sidestepped or left out because it's like, let's say you want to go on vacation, but you only take your head, or you only take your hand, or you only take your foot. Well, are you really going to have all the fun that's possible if you only take your foot with you? Eh? I know that's a kind of an absurd analogy, but I mean, it's really like that. And see, what we see a lot of times is that people get into spirituality and they segregate that from psychology, or they segregate that from religion, or they segregate that from uh, other forms of personal improvement. And really, it all contributes. It all contributes. It's all a part. Everyone has this beautiful mosaic of dynamics that are served best in their context, right? If you're thirsty, you don't try to turn gasoline into water, you just go get water. Okay.
Right.
And so the idea is, honor where you're at. If you want to get where you're going, you got to do that. And, especially these days, and while it still has a way to go, and we can't argue that, certainly there's a lot of elements of um, psychology today that are very, very useful tools in terms of consciousness development. Okay. And, it's not, the point is not to use or get attached to any one thing exclusively, but to be open to your soul's guidance and then to utilize whatever is appropriate for you at whatever level you are needing support, right? And so, it doesn't have to be just like, well, I'm going to do a chakra meditation. Well, fantastic, but don't do a chakra meditation if what you really need to do is have a decent meal, or go for a walk, or get on your creative side, or go to therapy, or whatever the case might be, right? Because it's all supportive, and you are creating your own unique path through this version of reality, which means using all available tools and perspectives that can serve you, and not getting attached to anyone or another in particular. It's even like, everything that we teach is based on a set of 13 principles, and those principles basically operate the universe. But it's not like you got to do this and don't go to church, for example, or you got to do this and don't go to meditate, or all that kind of stuff. It's like, no, this is very compatible. These teachings are compatible. These principles are compatible with anything that you would choose to do to support yourself. And so be open to all of it. That is, if you want to accelerate your path. Okay. If you want to take it slow, which from what I can see looking into the camera here, there's not too many who want to take it slow, right? But if you did want to take it slow, then get really attached to one thing and don't do anything else, right? Um, the beautiful thing about the term psychospirituality, which we appreciate, is that it is an incorporation basically between of psychology and spirituality. It's understanding that not only do you have this ego mind and heart and the various mechanisms within it, but you have this extraordinary divine presence that's expressing through all of that, or at least maintaining all of that. And so understanding that connection, the connection between heart and mind, we talk about a lot of times, or between self and soul, that we talk about a lot of times. Understanding that there is this divine essence beneath, behind, within all of these so-called psychological or ego dynamics that are part of your basic human nature and expression. And, recognizing that connection, recognizing that underlying presence uh, allows you to then fully not only incorporate these different facets of consciousness that might be useful to you, but to really understand and appreciate how your consciousness actually works. Okay. And that becomes very important because, mastery is not really about doing something well. I mean, that's a demonstration of it, but it's not really about doing something well. And that's what people focus on. Okay. It's about understanding the mechanics of consciousness that allow something to be done well. Okay. And it also allows you a lot of freedom because, you could take, say, you play the piano, right? You can learn a piece of music and you can play that piece of music and practice it over and over and over and over again, and it become extraordinary. But can you switch keys and play it? Can you switch instruments and play it in the same way? Can you flip the music upside down and play it in the same way? Probably not. But when you really understand, music, and you really understand what that dynamic of consciousness is called playing the piano, then you can sit down to anything and play it without hesitation. You can create, you can modify, you can adapt. Okay. And so it's the same with your spiritual evolution, right? It's not about learning how to meditate per se. It's about understanding when meditation is the most appropriate thing. And then it's understanding about what meditation is the most appropriate thing. Okay. Because that changes. And the more you understand yourself, the more self-aware you become, the more you understand what's most effective in a given situation. And so, one could argue that our teachings basically are psychospiritual in nature because, while a lot of people focus on, how to ascend or how to raise your vibration, it's really, I can sum it up really in one statement. Evolution is just one more moment of joy today than yesterday. If you don't do anything else, but you focus on that, you are going to evolve and you're going to ascend. It's just that simple. Now, the challenge with that is that's too simple for most people. So we have to make it hard. We have to complicate it so that you can understand. And so that's where the psycho and psychospiritual comes from. Okay, we're joking, dear ones. We're joking. So, but the point is to, accept, you are an extraordinary being. This is not a theory. It's not some idealized fantasy. It's an absolute fact of your reality. You're an extraordinary being who is becoming increasingly aware. We hope, we affirm, we intend, becoming increasingly aware of just how extraordinary you are. Okay. And so be willing to look at yourself that way. And it's like you're extraordinary in all facets of existence. And your soul is going to focus on some things more than others in a given lifetime or in a given segment of a lifetime. So, give your heart fully to the experience of the things that are appropriate for you, and you will essentially dance through life, even if you're having to dance over barbed wire and potholes. Okay. So just saying.